It's Friday, 19th April 2024. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the news on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studio here, number 35, Jenhaman Street in Accra. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927, also on 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. In the bulletin this morning, rights activist wants government to determine the fate of the 15-year-old married to the Babu Wolomo.
The decision of government with respect to what needed to be done and respect to the welfare of the child, I don't think that it should cease.
Also coming up, government bears no liability in train crash at Mpakadan. That's according to the Railway Development Ministry.
The train officially has not been handed over to the government yet. It's still.
We'll bring you details in the bulletin. Also, government imposes curfew on the Bono region of Sampa following chieftaincy clashes. And much later, the Trade Union Congress joined strike to demand Tier 2 pension funds arrears.
That the public sector unions under the forum have already given notice that on the 2nd of May, if they don't hear anything about the payment of this second tier on the 30th of April, they will strike. We want to send this notice to government that if by 30th of April they don't do anything about this, our second tier, on the 2nd of May, we will all join the forum.
We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. Let's start off the morning with this. The Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Apia, says government must determine what needs to be done in respect of the 16-year-old girl married to the Babuwolomo in Nungwa. The government released the young girl after weeks of being under police protection. Speaking on Hot Edition, Bright Apia said government has managed the situation well to ensure that all professionals, including psychologists, were engaged.
Even last week that they wanted to send the child back to the family, but a few things came up and they have to delay till today. But what is the most important thing is that government, despite the fact that government have released the child to the family, the decision of government with respect to what needed to be done and respect to the welfare of the child, I don't think that it should cease. And also that the decision of Attorney General to investigate if there is any criminal matter should also continue. So this is not the conclusion to the matter.
And that's the Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Apia, speaking there. Meanwhile, the young Na Yomo arrived in the native town of Dungwa last night. She was subsequently ushered into the town. Amidst jubilation, elders of the town subsequently guided her into the shrine. In other news, the government has imposed a curfew on Sampa in the German North District of the Bono region over chieftaincy disturbances. A statement released by the Ministry of Interior last night announced that the curfew would commence from 4 p.m. to 7 a.m. each day, effective Thursday, April 18, and further banned anyone from carrying weapons during the curfew period. Away from that, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ministry of Railway Development, Yawosu, says the Ghanaian government will not bear any liability for the train involved in the accident yesterday. The train was involved in an accident during a test drive on the Tema Mpakadan rail tracks, but encountered a stationary vehicle parked right across the rail tracks. The military said there were no occupants in the vehicle. According to the CEO, the train has officially not been handed over yet to the Ghanaian government.
That there was a disabled unmanned vehicle on our track, and the trains were being tested for what we call the site acceptance test by the manufacturer from Poland. Okay, in other words, the train officially has not been handed over to the government yet. It's still under the liability of the manufacturer. In any case, this unfortunate incident happened sometime this afternoon, and we are yet to ascertain the details of exactly what happened and how best to go about it to ensure that this incident don't happen in the future. So we are yet to get to the bottom of the investigation to find out exactly what happened, the type of vehicle.
That's the voice of Yao Fosu, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ministry of Railway Development. Moving on, private legal practitioner Martin Pegbu says there's a sense of renewed agency on the part of the Special Prosecutor to fight corruption. After months of going quiet, the Special Prosecutor on Thursday filed fresh charges with 8 counts against former boss of the Public Procurement Authority at the center of the contracts for sale saga. Already, Mr. Jinim Boating-Ajay is facing charges with 17 counts after he was accused of establishing a company named Talent Discovery Limited. According to Martin Pegbu, the case will bring the OSP into the limelight again.
I see a sense of renewed urgency by the Special Prosecutor to fight corruption. He and his office have been relatively quiet for some months now, especially after he handed over the files on Cecilia Dapa to Yoko. So after the Dapa matter left the office hasn't had as much media scrutiny and attention. So I think that this is a case that would once again bring the office of the Special Prosecutor to the front burner. And it's good because, Mr. Jabe himself is in highlighting the advocacy aspect, the prevention of corruption aspect.
Private legal practitioner Martin Pegbu there. Away from that, an Accra High Court has adjourned the case seeking a judicial review in the presentation of the anti-LGBTQ bill forwarded by the president. This is to allow lawyers of MP for South Dai, Roxanne Nelson Defiamekpo, to respond to the AG's documents opposing the application. Here is a report.
In his affidavit in opposition in response to the South Dai MP's application, the Attorney General, represented by a Principal State Attorney, George Tetesaki, indicated that due to the 2 cases pending before the Supreme Court for determination, the Speaker and the President are unable to proceed. The document also noted that the High Court will be prejudicing the ability of the Supreme Court to effectively adjudicate the merits of the 2 cases, which it is seized of if it proceeds to determine the instant suit. Ni Papo Samoa Ado, lead counsel for South Dai Member of Parliament, Roxanne Nelson Defiamekpo, therefore prayed the court to adjourn the case to allow them file documents in response to the AG's opposition. Presiding Judge Ellen Mreku adjourned the case to April 29. Ni Papo Samoa Ado spoke to the media following the hearing.
Parliament has responded to the letter from the Office of the President. And in our opinion, that even strengthens our point that without the intervention of the court, nothing would go on. Attorney General, who had indicated at our last sitting that they were not going to file an affidavit in opposition, but were going to come and argue on points of law, have now filed a formal affidavit in opposition and their statement of case. So we're served in the court. So we had a look at it, and we believe that there are a few points that we want to deal with.
That's a report by my colleague Lord Eduasare. Away from that, let's do some labor stories now, where the Trades Union Congress has announced its intention to join the forum, comprising 9 labor unions, to withdraw their services on 2nd May 2024 if government does not release the second-tier pension funds, which has been in arrears for over 10 years. Here's Secretary General of the TUC, Dr. Yauba, addressing the conference at Gumuafete in the Central Region.
You may know that the public sector unions under the forum have already given notice that on the 2nd of May, if they don't hear anything about the payment of this second tier on the 30th of April, they will strike. We will want to send this notice to government that if by 30th of April, they don't do anything about this, our second tier.
The voice of General Secretary of the TUC, Dr. Yauba there. That's how we wrap up on the morning news on 3FM 92.7. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Business News is up next. Good morning.